Hello and welcome to another episode of Wedflics. I'm Julia Braime, I'm your host and the editor of Brides Up North, the top UK wedding blog for northern couples, and the editor of Unveiled magazine, the go-to bridal coffee table glossy. Today on the show I welcome an Unveiled Network member, Ray Snowdon of Ray's Piano. Now this pianist is the man with the music. He can transform your wedding ceremony or wedding breakfast into a magical affair, and he's here to talk to us all about it. So hi Ray, welcome to Wedflics.
Good morning, thank you very much for the invitation.
Absolute pleasure. Everybody, this is Ray Snowdon, and he is better known in the wedding industry as Ray's Piano. He's an excellent piano player for your wedding or event. And I've known him for a long time because we have worked together on our Brides Up North and Unveiled magazine wedding shows for years. He's taken the odd request from me, and now we know each other as part of the Unveiled network of wedding suppliers that we operate behind the scenes, trying to make your wedding day the very best it can be. So Ray, why don't I stop rabbiting on and you can introduce yourself and the business.
Okay, thanks Julia. As Julia said, Ray's Piano, hopefully it's self-explanatory, but in terms of what I can hopefully offer during the day for brides and couples, it's very much around daytime music. So it's the arrival of guests at the venue, and it could be split venue, it could be a church, it could be a hotel, it could be a marquee in a field, all sorts of things. It's then the ceremony itself, the reception and the wedding breakfast. And I think it's that part, I would always say that part of the day that often, I'm not saying couples forget about. I think often it's a case of, DJ, understandably in band at night time is what couples naturally think about. Yeah. But I think in terms of the flow of the day and in terms of where music can make a real impact, I think it's that daytime stuff that I look at there. So yeah, that's what it is. So starting from kind of arrival of your guests through to the start of your evening, if you want to call it that. Yeah. Kind of part of the day.
So how did it all begin for you? How did you get into playing the piano in the very
How did I get? Bless her, my mum played piano. And I, as a child, I took some lessons against my will for about a year probably, and it didn't really gel with me, I'll be honest. As I got to a teenager, I ended up playing a lot of sport. And despite the fact that I put on a few pounds, I was a good sports player when I was a kid. I played a lot of cricket and rugby and football. And then I think when you go to college, it was when I was 18, sort of drifted back in. You get more musically aware in life. And I think you start visiting pubs and your music's around you. And obviously a few of my mates picked up guitars. And obviously I had a little bit of formal training in those sort of year, 18 months of lessons. And everybody got guitars, etc. I actually started playing the bass in the first band I was in, very badly, really badly. And it was a case of how many guitarists can we have?
Yeah.
And it was a case of actually I can play a few chords on a keyboard, and just ended up that way. That's how it started, literally. So I joined it was a bit random, really, as it is. Cold nights like tonight, playing in youth clubs and cricket clubs and rehearsing. In my day, it was Dire Straits, it was Bruce Springsteen, that kind of stuff when I started out. Because they were the two bands that, in the 80s, they were the two bands that really brought keyboards. Plus, of course, at that time, it was the advent of synthesizers. And so Depeche Mode, Human League, all of those bands came with keyboards, and it was like, wow, the synthesizer landed in sort of the mid-80s. And so from there, I just, fell into it. Joined my first band, I say first band because I was with them for about 20 years, purely by chance. My friend was playing rhythm guitar in the band. I went to watch them, and the band said, actually, really, we're looking for a keyboard player, not another guitarist. So ironically, I ended up replacing my friend in the band, which wasn't really anticipated, but that's how it happened. And from there, I joined them when I was 19, started doing the wonderful education of the Northeast clubs and pubs, which was a social education as well as a music education. And I think I was very lucky in the two bands I stayed with pretty much in parallel. Mm-hmm. As I say, I was with for a lot of years, but I was with people who were in their 30s, and I was 18, 19. And I just learned a hell of a lot of people who'd been more experienced, learned how to perform, how to rehearse, how to turn up on time, how to entertain, perform and stuff, So we were very lucky. I was really lucky looking back. I learned off some good people,
because
really good people.
That's interesting because the the actual being able to play bit's important, but the entertainment side is also important. It's two separate skills, and that comes with experience, doesn't it? Some people are born with it, you know, like the Robbie Williamses of this world.
Yes.
But they're, you know, special cases, and then all of us have got a bit of an entertainer in them. I mean, here we are on the Wedflics show.
Yes, well, there we go. I think for me, it was always a case I was never going to be at the front, never wanted to be at the front. Largely because when I sing, people leave the room, so that's cool. And I realised that at an early age. But I always felt happy when you got the barrier of a piano. I'm actually quite safe sitting behind a 6-foot piano, or a grand piano is even better. It's 9 foot and pretty solid. And I always felt happy. It's just a comfortable place to be. And I think with keyboards especially, you can be out the front a little bit, obviously, you know, especially now. But in bands, yes, you do solos. There's some obviously great keyboard parts in various songs. But it tends to be guitar and saxophone get the focus in a band, and the singer. So actually it's a really nice place to be, just sitting there and enjoying it, soaking it up, and playing stuff and adding light and shade in the music. So
Ray, you've skipped a lot there though, because you went from picking up a piano to being in a band. So I can imagine, and I think that's kind of, you know, that sort of misses out obviously all the hours you must have spent practicing and training. I mean, how did it work?
I guess I suppose when you start a band, I mean, let's be honest, the first aim when you try and start a band is let's try and do 3 or 4 songs and just play in front of somebody at like an open mic night, where normally you get a chance to play 3 or 4 songs and that's it. And so your initial aim is, right, can we just get 3 or 4 songs that make us sound relatively easy on the ear, and people aren't going to go when you start. And then once you actually do that and think, actually, this kind of works, then you try and maybe build up a set to do a support slot, which might be 9 songs, 10 songs. And then ultimately you think, right, can we actually get a paid gig, which is, you know, 2 sets, typically 20 to 30 songs. And so you have to take it in steps, really, and think about it, just build it up.
You're literally there kind of behind the scenes learning the songs.
Yeah, and that's changed a lot. Yeah. And that's wonderful now. And it's so, I shouldn't say it's easy now. That's not necessarily easy. You still have to learn the songs. But especially now with the internet, within reason, on music sites, you can literally go on and go, pick a song, give me the chords fall down, brilliant. And, you know, at least you've got a scratch pad. So when I do requests at weddings, as long as there's internet, I'll always say, look, if I've got an idea of the tune, literally punch in the number, get the title of the song, and think, right, I can have a crack at this.
Right,
I suppose what that masks, as you say, it's one thing having a few chords, but yes, you've got to pick up the nuance of what that means and learning your scales. And like all jobs, you have to do the hard yards and learn your scales and your fundamental stuff, and it is practice. You know, there's loads of that 10,000 hours of whatever. I don't know how many hours I've put in now. I couldn't pretend to know. I've lost count it some. But no, it's fun, and that's the main thing. You keep it fun. But
I think the way you talk about it, for you, it has to have been, like we just talked about Robbie Williams being a born entertainer. You've been intrinsically musical, because my experience of learning an instrument is not like yours. You know, I also did piano for a couple of years actually as a child, and I can literally play chopsticks, and I am just diabolical at it. So it's just not my skill set, and it's not the way my mind works. And I think that there must be something in you that's, you know, you're programmed that way to become a musician. I really do. It's really, really interesting. I was a terrible piano student.
As I say, when I took lessons at the start, that style of music at the time, let's be honest, it was classical, didn't grab me. But of course, the beauty of it now, again, in music, is all the examination boards for music now, they've all advanced. And so you can do the classics, you can do the shows, you can do Andrew Lloyd Webber. So they've realised that actually you can display competence in the instrument. It doesn't have to be classical music. It's now broader. And I think that's great. That's what's advanced over the last few years, definitely.
If Andrew Lloyd Webber had been on my syllabus, then I would have absolutely smashed it.
Yeah, it's that kind of stuff. It is, and similarly with popular music, it doesn't mean just because it's popular music. Yes, a lot of it is quite simple, but there's actually a lot of complexity and simplicity. Yeah. The art of anything is making it simple. That is the secret to anything, making it look simple and keeping it simple.
So how did you go then from the pubs and clubs of the Northeast to the wedding days of the Northeast as a solo artist?
Well, so after pubs and clubs, then did the theatres and then did festivals. So I joined a touring band, which was great. And again, I think that's where I opened my eyes, I think, in terms of, again, arguably being professional and providing customer service. Because obviously once we went from being in a pub band where, you know, someone would begrudge paying £2 to come watch in a pub, and then we suddenly went from doing, you know, 15 quid, 20 quid tickets, and then obviously at the Glastonbury and stuff like that, which was mind blowing.
Wow. Yeah.
Then you learn a lot. You just learn a lot about being professional. I think over the years, serendipity's a little bit of it as well. And it was a case of a few friends had said a number of times, oh, would you come and do a party? Just play for an hour. Oh, well, I know I play in a band. Well, yeah, but just play the stuff, your boogie woogie stuff, your rock and roll stuff, and just get up and play stuff. And I suppose it was one of those things where I'd always kind of put it off a little bit, and then ended up going various things with a function band up in the Northeast. We were a 5-piece, and then we became the singer guitarist, myself became a trio, and then we became a duo as kids came along and things like that. And eventually it got to the duo, and then my partner, as it were, not my singing partner, then ended up with another job, and it was like, okay. And it was pretty that time, about 2006-07. Somebody said to me, yeah, I'm getting married. Would you come and play the piano for a couple of hours at the wedding? And I thought, oh, yeah, well, because he was a mate, I didn't really think too much. I said, yeah, I'll do that. Went along and thought, actually, I quite enjoyed this. And it was just sitting at the back and playing a bit of fun. And obviously, you know, I enjoy weddings. They're happy occasions, and everybody was really happy. And in the nicest way, that I thought, well, actually, I can't be late for the rehearsals because there's only me. I can play what I want, when I want, in any order I want, pick up whatever tunes I want. And it's like that freedom bit. It was like, wow, this is really good. Yeah. And then from roughly 2006-07, I think it was, I can't remember now, just ended up sort of, when people asked, I was more like, yeah, I'll do that for you. Or would you come and do a little restaurant? Yeah, I'll do that for you. And I suppose it's confidence. Once you actually get away the safety net of the band, and I thought, actually, I can do this. And people actually were quite enjoying it and thinking, actually, that was quite nice. And it went from there, really. And then obviously, as you know yourself, the industry is huge. And, you know, you look in the industry and look from the outside on the industry. And then, you know, as you do, you make contacts, you meet photographers, you meet cake makers, designers, dressed whatever, florists, etc. And eventually you sort of make your first steps into the industry. And genuinely you meet people like yourself who, you know, generally open doors in the network, and you just think, actually, this is good fun. And, you know, there's no secret that I'm sure for most of us, as well as our, whatever we are, whether it's music, florist, a lot of it's good fun and talking to each other. Exactly. It's a really good network of mates. And over the years, that's what it is. Being
nice to people and giving and taking, you know, giving more than you take, actually, I think works.
It is. It's always about more, put more in. Yeah, I'm a great believer in that. I absolutely agree. Give and you get more back. Absolutely agree. Yeah. So that's how it sort of fell about, really. It was, just part of an evolution of time, getting slightly older, and obviously, band shrinking. But then obviously thinking, actually, I really enjoy this. And the fact is, I think it's, you generally, I'm not saying it's normally 11 till 5, somewhere in that window of time. It actually works better for life, let's be honest. It's nice for me because I know I've done it with bands, obviously, over the years, where you finish at midnight and then you have to get your gear down and then drive back. Well, 5 o'clock, I'm generally away as the band are setting up, have a chat with them, see the DJ, have a crack with them, and then bye lads, I'm away. Great, I'm home, and I'm home for 7 o'clock, which is cool. So it works really well.
You've missed all the sport, though. I guess you have to get home and watch this catch up.
Yeah, walk the dog and do the chores and stuff. But no, it just works really well. And I honestly think that, especially as well in the last few years, with the advent of, say, the Radio 2 piano room, with Live Lounge and this big stripped back acoustic chilled vibe, then with pianos, it lends itself. And even the pianos I use, I suppose the beauty as well, you can very easily put on strings, choirs, bit of synthesizer stuff, and you can go back in a press of a button. You go from boogie woogie to jazz to 60s to 90s rock, and it's great. And so you can cover a load of bases really easy and provide a real broad repertoire for people. So actually, it's good fun.
I'm thinking now that I should have focused more on my piano lessons, because it does sound like a very pleasant gig, to be honest.
It's good. It's fun. That's what it has to be. It's fun, and that's what it has to be at the end of the day. You have to enjoy it. And you know yourself, going back to what you said earlier, though, that yes, you turn up and you play, but as you said, I still put the hours in. You still have to learn new songs, and I'm fortunate with kids where they're my now they are my ears to the ground now. Dance Monkey, right, okay, and Blinding Lights, right, okay, and that's brilliant, because they're the ones that feed me, because I love what I love, and that's just nature. We all pick up different types of music, You know, oh, Greatest Showman, have you seen that? Yeah, you got to learn this. And that's great, because then people just throw things in, and obviously brides come up with songs, several of which you know, but others it's like, oh, don't know that one. Great, and just broaden the repertoire, and it keeps you fresh. That's the beauty of it. It just keeps you fresh.
I was going to ask where you get your inspiration and how you stay on top of the vast amount of new music that's coming out. But so it is just.
It's a real mix.
Brilliant.
It is. It's a real mix of, kids obviously will say things. Brides, obviously, when we talk about wedding music, they'll come up with songs. We do, obviously, the wonderful internet. You do, you know, top 20 songs, 50 songs from all sorts of websites. You do that.
Yeah.
But ultimately, to me, like most things in life, I actually believe if someone sees you enjoying yourself and playing what you enjoy, that comes across.
Yes.
And, you know, if you're passionate about what you do and having fun, you know, and well, as you see from the odd photo and stuff, and you know, if kids sit on my knee, I don't care. It's like you just have fun, and you just play what comes, and play what you feel, and go with the mood. But I think over time, you just have to build up a repertoire of popular stuff. Let's be honest. And so I've just got a bookshelf in the back there, and I've got, just looking over there, I've got Adele, Coldplay, U2, Dire Straits, 80s hits, 90s hits, and you just Beatles, obviously. You just pull it together, and a couple might say, like I've had couples say, play Ed Sheeran, I'll kill you. It's like, right, fine, won't play any Ed Sheeran. Others say, I love Coldplay, I want all Coldplay in the ceremony, and that's what you do. You just, and that keeps it fresh. And beauty as well is, of course, not being proprietary, whether it's Spotify or Apple or Amazon, this wonderful thing called Shuffle, and stuff just comes on. You think, oh, I love that. And I'll be honest, I'm a Virgin Chill guy. But because everything there is stripped back, so all the chart hits, you know, they're all acoustic versions typically recorded. So whether it's Declan Kennedy, whether it's Dermot O'Leary, he's a presenter, Dermot Kennedy, etc., they all record acoustic versions, really stripped back, a bit like Chris Evans' Breakfast Show, where they just do it on a piano, and you think, oh, it's a great way of interpreting that song, and it just lends itself to wedding material, wedding breakfast, where you just chilled, playing in the background, and think, I recognise that. Oh, that's a different way. Even just last week, a couple I'm doing some Bon Jovi stuff for, who I love. But they've got an acoustic. They've got a great acoustic album. This Left Feels Right. All of their versions, classic hits, done acoustically. Same with Whitesnake. They've got an acoustic album. And you think, wow. And people think, I recognise that. What's that? And I'm doing Metallica. Everything Matters, and it's like, wow. You know, and people don't expect it, and it's like, oh, a bit of a surprise. So I think that keeps you fresh. There's so much music out there now. Was it 70 million songs on Spotify and iTunes? I mean, it's great. It's never ending.
Ray, you can come and play Bon Jovi at my party all day long. Bon Jovi are my favourite band, and so I'd love a bit of acoustic Bon Jovi.
There we go.
My husband would not agree to have a Bon Jovi song as the first dance at our wedding. You know, absolutely appalling start to married life. But you know, there you go. He stayed firm. He stayed firm to his beliefs. But so let's talk about live piano at a wedding then. We touched on it briefly at the start, but why should a couple consider live piano at their wedding?
I think, and you know me well enough, and I will say this up front, I actually think, you know, live music, doesn't matter what it is, I love any live music. I think, you know, in general, we've all possibly been to, whether it be a concert, your local pub, a park, walking past, and you hear live music, and it's just the feeling. It's not the same as watching it on TV or whatever. Live music's great, and I absolutely passionately would advocate anybody to get, whether it's guitar, strings, harp, just get something live, and it just adds a classic touch to your day. I'm obviously biased with the piano, obviously. I think with the piano especially, it's a chameleon. And as I said, it's, you know, it is the core of every band and orchestra. You know, music is written, yes, I know songs are written on guitar, obviously Mr. Sheeran, a classic example, but a lot of music is the heart of an orchestra, and a band lead and musical direction comes to a piano, because you've got the range of the notes, you've got the ability to do all styles really easily. Things like boogie woogie, rock and roll, or piano, that's where they live. And I think therefore, especially with the little toys now with electric pianos, you can just make it so accessible, all sorts of stuff, whether it's classical or rock or jazz or blues or country or folk or whatever. You know, piano sounds makes it come alive. I think as well, when you look at your day, I think certainly, you know, we all arrive in venues, doesn't matter where it is, and it's just nice to come into something live, and immediately for guests, it's like, it's an icebreaker. It's like walking into a silent room. Or I know, I appreciate you can have backing tapes or you know, iPlayers. I get that. I absolutely get that in the venue. But something live is a focal point. It's something to talk about for your guests of, You know, if a lot of people at weddings don't know each other, oh, it's something to divert. Ceremony, obviously I'm biased. I think piano sounds great in a room. Yeah. Sadly, there's not as many as there used to be in venues. We know that. I mean, as we all know, probably over history, you know, 20s, 30 pianos in every pub, loads of households have pianos, and that's the story of every film you see, sitting around the piano playing. And you know, I was saying to a couple not long ago about we're talking about an intimate wedding, which I think it's going to be. And I said, you know, it is like playing in your front room. That's what you want to think about. It's like for small 15, 20 people, it's like having someone in your front room just playing. Yeah. And it's great. It's like you went to a restaurant. It's that kind of background feel. So for ceremony, you know, I think it's great. I think with live, the beauty of it as well is it can be arranged for you. You know, if you just want 3 choruses of the song, that's what you can do. You're not fixed to a CD. I don't fade out. I just watch. I can manage it. If the bridesmaid decides to go AWOL, which happened with a young lady last year who didn't come in the room, or the bride's fashionably late or whatever, or breaks down in tears, you know, live means it adapts and keeps going.
Yes, I think that's
which is always nice.
I think that's a really important point as well, because the awkwardness of a situation where you have to cycle the track again or stop it, like literally when the bride gets to the altar, it's like,
yeah, exactly.
And people do notice it, but if you know seamlessly the piano just kind of comes to a natural end as the bride arrives at the top of the aisle next to the groom, or the bride and bridegroom and groom, whoever it is getting married, it just works better.
Yeah,
and nobody notices it.
No,
that's what you want. So
that's exactly it. And it's the same with the reception. It's lovely when people go out, because you know you want them to talk, and hopefully it could be indoors, it could be outdoors, and of course the advantage of all electrical instruments is they can go anywhere, and 90% of venues have got plugs secreted in plants and bushes and shrubs that we know they're there, but obviously the guests don't. So it's very easy to do. I've even got a couple next year on boats, which I'm really nervous about because I don't swim, so I'm really nervous about that. So we're doing a reception on a Windermere cruise, which would be cool.
That'd be amazing.
I've got a ceremony on a Navy ship next year as well, so that'll be good. But no, so you know, it's flexible and you know it's compact. But again, when you, as I say, with the reception, the beauty again, you can do up-tempo stuff, bit of all sorts of stuff outside. It travels, just sets that vibe across a garden or a lawn, and you can just hear it echoing around and drifting on the breeze. And it's a lovely afternoon.
Absolutely. When I said you don't notice it, you definitely notice the music. It's you don't notice the abrupt. You don't notice the mistakes because they're not there. Is what I mean. Like you don't notice that it's good because it is good.
Yeah.
It's when problems happen with backing tracks and tapes and things, that's when you notice the kind of or like the of the mic.
That's right. No, absolutely.
Oh, I hate that. Yeah. So I went to a wedding 2 years ago. Rachel, who works with me, our features writer, and she had live piano at her ceremony for the walk-in bit, and it was Coldplay, and they'd done an arrangement of something like this, and it was incredible. Literally like goosebumps. I was in floods of tears. I was literally me and Andy, the groom, were the only people crying in the room. But it was and that to me just kind of made me think, like piano for a ceremony, it can be so effective and so mood setting, and like the whole room was tingling because it was such anticipation that I absolutely loved it, and I think that it really makes a difference.
I think
it wouldn't have been.
I think a piano is evocative of all sorts of things, and I think even last year, I think of one example. It's down in Yorkshire at the wedding, and we actually ended up with 2 tracks. So effectively, the bridesmaids came in to one song, and then when the bride's father came down the steps, that was the cue for me to change to the other song, and so it came into a different song. And that kind of stuff you can do dead easy. You can arrange stuff, and that's where again it can be personal. So it's not just, as you say, one track. It's like, what's the story to you? Like, what would you like to happen? And we can make it happen. And therefore,
what did they choose?
What they did, they had the bridesmaids came into Walking in the Air.
Oh, lovely.
Which was nice. It was a late November, early December wedding. I'm trying to think, back into November. And then she came into At Last, which is timeless.
Yeah, I'm like such a song.
It is timeless.
I feel like I might cry at that combination of tracks.
So no, it was really, and it worked really. I mean, you just put a little bit of time in to make it flow, but it worked really nicely. It's 2 great songs.
Yeah, isn't that just the power of music? That literally, at the thought of those 2 tracks at a wedding, I like start tearing up. I'm so soft. I cry at all the wedding video clips that I install to our platforms whenever a blog feature comes along with a wedding. I literally sit here at my computer in floods of tears. So I'm very susceptible to emotion.
Which is, music moves people. Music is emotion. That's what it is, isn't it? It connects, and I think that's the beauty as well of the whole day. Because yes, some people might have some fixed ideas on songs or artists or not. But you know, as I keep saying, well, you can have some stuff. I've done it before where the bride's requested a certain song for the groom because they're nervous before the ceremony.
That's nice.
And so actually, if they hear a song that actually I know that and I'm gonna, I'm chilled, fab. And similarly, you know, yes, you might have 4 or 5 songs in the ceremony, or a few more if it's church, play a few hymns as well. That's gonna be 8, 9 songs. But then if you want some other stuff, you know yourself, the bride and groom or the partner, the couple tend to be the center of attraction. Let's be honest, the photographer, so it's only when they sit down for the wedding breakfast that they get a chance to like, we've actually can speak to each other, and they've been married like 2 hours and they haven't spoken to each other, and actually then to just have a few songs that they recognise drifting across, think, I recognise that. So the music and the requests can come in anywhere during the day. So for wedding breakfasts, for example, although sometimes it hurts me, given my allegiance, Local Hero is a very popular song to come into as a married couple for obvious reasons, being up in Newcastle, and that's great. So a couple come into something like that, and you know, it's great. It's a nice touch.
Who's your allegiance to?
I'm Sunderland.
Yes, me too.
I am Sunderland. I can't deny that. I am Sunderland, even though I live north of the river and I always have done. It was.
We're not doing too well at the moment, are we?
Hey, we beat the mighty Shrewsbury at the weekend. Come on, what more do you want?
I remember the Peter Regiers. Those were the glory days. You know. Anyway, we digress.
I know.
Please no one turn off the. You know, all teams are welcome here for the purpose of the chat. Do you know what's really interesting from what you were just saying? I think it's the adding in songs that you recognise point. And this cycles me back to something I think is really important, that on your wedding day, I'd really urge wedding couples to have a bit of fun with the suppliers that they book. So go for the songs that are a bit different and that you love. I mean,
absolutely.
Just talking about the Bon Jovi thing, for people who are really, really big fans of a band, I think it would have been so cool to have had a live piano playing acoustic Bon Jovi hits as people gathered for the ceremony, because that's, I love Bon Jovi, my friends know I do. And, you know, if we'd done something like that, then it does give friends a talking point, because they're thinking, oh, okay, what's this? Why do I recognize this? Oh, it's a Bon Jovi song. Oh, the next one's a Bon Jovi song. You know what? You know, it's just, it's quite kind of fun, and it really personalizes your day.
I think you made a very good point there as well, is that, you know, I actually put it on a little post just last week, genuinely, where you know, I say to couples when they say, "Oh, I'm not sure what to pick. What do I have to pick?" You pick what you want.
Yeah,
it's your day, and your music tastes are your music tastes. And I'll be honest, I'll hold my hand up. There's the odd song, if it's an EDM dance track or whatever, that it might not translate that well to piano. And I'll be honest, I'll say, look, you know what? I'll be honest, I don't think that's quite going to create what the mood that you want, maybe in the reception, but not necessarily where you think it's going to fit. But there's always a version of something you can do, whether it's chilled or whatever. But you know, I'm very honest, if somebody says, oh, I want a certain track by like a mega rap song by Eminem or something, the reality tends to be, musically, it tends to be just one note, blah, 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 and it's like, well, is that really what you want? Whereas obviously pianos tends to be more, obviously rock and roll's different, boogie woogie's different, but it tends to be more, graceful, if that's the right word, or evocative and atmospheric. But we can do all sorts on a piano.
Because one of the things I loved when I first started hosting wedding shows, and I mean, we're going back kind of 10 years now, is hearing pop songs and rock songs played on acoustic instruments. And I know it's quite common now, but it wasn't then. And for me, I'd never really heard that before. And it is amazing. And not everyone in the couple's ceremony or wedding breakfast are going to experience that sort of music, and it is really cool. It's really fun.
It is nice.
It really lifts the mood, definitely. So okay, let's have some suggestions then. So I know there's like 70 million.
Yeah.
What do you like for? So okay, let's do like walking down the aisle. We're not going to hold you to this.
Crumbs. I mean, literally, it can be anything from, you here comes the bride. Hand on heart, that only comes probably once or twice a year, and generally nowadays. Pasha bells, obviously. It is, and
If you're
it's
gonna
timeless.
have your wedding day, you may as well, you know.
Yeah. No, it's timeless. It is. Pasha Bell's obviously popular. It's certainly that's a great song. Obviously, it's the same as Memories by Maroon 5 last year. They've ripped it off, but it's the same song. But then after that, you've obviously got Disney's really popular, Whole New World, that kind of stuff. If you're a Disney girl, and lots of brides and couples are. Yeah, absolutely. I Get to Love You, Ruel's quite popular. Can You Feel a Love Tonight, Elton John. Halo, Beyonce. I mean, it literally is.
Oh, that's nice too.
Beatles are popular. Coldplay are obviously popular. Have a Little Faith in Me, John Hyatt can be a popular one. And it obviously it varies on a couple of 1,000 Years, How Long Will I Love You, Elvis is timeless.
Yeah.
I Can't Help Falling in Love is timeless.
Do you know what? There'll be couples watching this getting so many ideas. You've just thrown out so many tracks. This is brilliant. This is like the idea. This is like a random track generator.
Yeah. It is. There are so many. And having said that, all I always say is try and pick something, let's call it mid-tempo, because what you want is you don't want to rush down the aisle. You want to enjoy it. We all know you're probably a bit of nerves, but you want something that's nice and chilled so you can just feel that kind of, that genuinely when I play it, I always try and play it slightly slower because you want them to try and listen to the music. And what I tend to do is give them a recording of the track, about 90 seconds, because I say, look, typically you might get 90 seconds to 2 minutes. We all know some venues are bigger aisles and are longer, but typically that's the kind of feel you might get. So just try and, sometimes to put it on in the night before, if you've got a little rehearsal, and just get a feel with the girls, a couple of drinks, and just have a bit of play going down the aisle and get a feel for what it's going to be like. And that can help. That can be helpful.
It's definitely all part of the fun.
Yeah.
What about walking back down the aisle once you're married?
Oh, I always say move the tempo up a little bit, celebrate. Last couple I've done Just You and I. Tom Walker was obviously topical. Beatles, All Leaders Love, Don't Stop Believing even. Don't Stop, I haven't started yet. Journey's mega popular. All Leaders Love, the Beatles. Crumbs. I've had rock and roll ones. I've done the Simpsons theme a couple of times.
Oh, yeah,
I've done the Addams Family theme and Mr. and Mrs. Adams. I mean, literally, again, have a bit of fun. I did Keane, in my head, Lily Allen Keane, which is just Somewhere Only We Know. Something a bit more driving, a bit more up-tempo, happier. So yeah, definitely a celebratory feel to it. Happy, Pharrell Williams, that kind of thing. So again, anything to me has got more of a beat to it, a bit more of a 500 Miles I've done recently with Proclaimers. That's a fun song.
Yeah, these are all really fun. I love the Addams Family for Mr. and Mrs. Adams. That's good.
That was just, that's the way it is.
It sets the mood for like the next bit, for the drinks and the celebrating.
And they got married on Halloween as well, which is even better.
That's amazing.
So we did Ghostbusters and Thriller. It was mint. It was really good fun.
That's really cool.
It was really good fun.
It's thinking that, it's not really thinking outside the box because it's Halloween, but it's daring to do it, that wedding couple. Yeah. And I think that's really cool because their guests will remember that, they'll talk about it, and you want people to talk about, the things you put money into for your wedding day. I think you may as well get the most out of it.
Absolutely.
Okay, so how about for during the drinks reception? What's it?
I tend to, certainly going back to some of the rock stuff I've already mentioned, Motown, soul stuff. I mean, I love that kind of stuff. Absolutely love it. Certainly, again, depending on numbers and where it is, it can be the likes of, say, Harry Styles stuff, Lewis Capaldi stuff. You do a real mix. I think you look around the room or the lawn and try and gauge what people are listening to. Ed Sheeran's obviously popular. Adele's popular. It is. You just have to pick a mix. And again, I tend to do more up-tempo stuff for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll do a bit of boogie woogie, bit of rock and roll because you just have to on a piano. And it's up-tempo and it's happy and it's vibrant and it bounces around. It's great fun. And that's always nice to do.
Do you know what? So I grew up in a hotel. So my parents were the managers and directors of Ramside Hall in Durham.
Right.
Years. And so we actually lived on site. So I grew up, and that's why I think weddings are in my blood. But I grew up every Sunday. They had like Sunday lunches for hundreds. And back then there would always be a piano player in the room. So I do know the of background piano, but for me that was always very stuffy because it was like classical tinkle is what I describe it as.
Yeah.
And honestly, when I hear that classical piano tinkle, I get this kind of stuffiness because people would smoke indoors back then in the 80s.
Of course,
I almost get this kind of like stuffy, smoky gravy feel in my
Yeah.
inside me. But when you talk then about all those different tracks and, you know, the upliftingness of the uplifting vibe of the piano,
Yeah.
now it's moved on so much in the last 20 years that it's completely different to my experience of live piano. And even back then it was nice, but now it's a whole different ball game, and it's quite exciting, I think, that, you know, someone can come and play, and it's an instrument someone can play for hours as well, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, during a day, you know, as you said, from arrival of guests, say half an hour, 45 minutes before the ceremony, ironically, is the easy bit for me. Oh, there's a bit of pressure on. There's obviously a bit of pressure, especially with videographers. There is a bit of pressure now. But joking aside, you know, have a rest in that. And then obviously, there's like an hour and a half or so typically for a reception, near enough. And then a couple of hours for the wedding breakfast. Yeah, I'm probably playing for 4 or 5 hours out of break, which is fine. And that's what I do. And you just, but you do. It's, you have to vary it for guests, but also for yourself. So, you know, you over your, as I say, over the songbook, yes, I put a few ballads in to chill back a bit and give my fingers a rest. But then obviously if people are enjoying it, and if, you know, people get up and have a dance, so you can see kids bopping around, you just think, right, they want more up-tempo stuff, and you keep it going. You know, and the 80s as well. The Rick Astley stuff.
A good rest would just be to play that rap song with the... I'm having a rest. You go.
Dear. Dear me.
I think I might know the answer to this, but where do you stand on requests?
Yeah, well, as you say, I mean, it's like anything, you know, there's 70 million songs out there. My little head doesn't know 70 million songs. If I've got an idea of the tune and I've heard it, then, as I say, if I know it, I'll have a go. If not, I'll certainly always try and get chords on the internet now. And you can on your phone or on an iPad, which I use for weddings. And if I can get some chords and think, right, yeah, I've got an idea of how this goes, absolutely go for it. Always have a go. Always sit with the caveat that this is how you might have heard it. But, you know, this is how I'm going to do it. Yeah, I'll always have a go then. Always have a go. Yeah. Unless it's something ridiculous that I've just never heard of. It's like, I'm really sorry, I just don't even know the tune. But even then, if I can, if say they ask in reception, when they're having the speeches, I think, all right, I'll nip outside, have a quick listen. All right, I'll try and have a go at it in a wedding breakfast. But yeah, without having too much comedy value, we'll always have a go.
Yeah, I like that. It's good, and it's fun. It keeps you fresh as well, I guess.
It does, yeah. And in the moment, it's always best, isn't it? You have a go, and I mean, you know, it's not a matter of life and death. It's a bit of fun. It's a bit of fun.
You also do this job partly because you like people, you like weddings.
Oh, of course, absolutely.
Chat to people. So if people are coming to chat to you while you're playing, I suppose that's nice, and you get to meet.
It is. It is.
And have a nice day of it. So, what's been kind of your proudest or most memorable moment of a wedding as a wedding pianist?
Oh, dear me.
One or a...
That is hard. You know yourself. I mean, it's really difficult. All weddings are equal. I mean, they are. Every wedding's got something in it. Whether it's, you know, when you see someone come down the aisle, and depends where I'm sitting at the front or the back or whatever, and it's kind of, it sounds terrible. It's always funny. I joke on with brides at wedding fairs or when we do Zoom to say, look, I've got a tears button on here with the strings, and when I do that, guarantee what's going to happen. And in a way, it's nice when, you know, someone comes down an aisle and you see a few tears, and you think, actually, the music's kind of working, and it just lends its touch. So that's always nice. I think when you play a song and the arrangement you've done for a couple comes off, that's lovely. I'll be honest, if I had to, I've got to be careful. You know, if I had to pick, probably one of the things I did enjoy, I'll be absolutely honest, I've only done it once, was playing at Bamburgh Castle. That was pretty cool because they've got a big grand piano in the Great Hall, and that was lovely. I mean, that was something that's wow. You know, there's not a flood of weddings there, and when I got the call for that was really nice. It was 5 o'clock I played on the lawns outside the castle on the cricket pitch in the afternoon. And I went upstairs, and you know, it was like, wow, that's really cool, and it sounded amazing through the hall. Yeah, that was nice. That was nice.
Yeah, I once filmed. This is years ago. I filmed a bouquet making sort of day with Vicky Laffey from the Floral Court, and
right, yes,
10 years ago now, and we did that in the Great Hall at Bamburgh Castle, and it was incredible.
It's quite spectacular.
So I get the feel of that.
It was
a similar one to that. If you've ever played.
And although on the exact flip side, for different reasons, you know, absolutely genuine and not just it is very topical given the magazine last week. Ashley and Liam, who got married at the Parlour in Blagdon, you know, they, bless them, they'd gone through having the wedding. We'd moved the date twice, if not thrice. Wasn't sure what's going to go ahead, what we're going to be, and so, you know, and I ended up obviously doing the whole day there with 15 people, and it was just fabulous. And you know, at the end of it, it was very kind of to say, it was, you know, we got very close because it was like we were trying to cheer them up and say, look, as I said, you know, how many times, if you're going out on a Friday night or a Saturday with your friends, how many times do you go out with 15 of your friends? Very rarely. And when you go out, you want nice food, nice meal, and a bit of music. And I said, you're going to get that in spades. And you know what? We had a lovely day, and that was really kind of like, you know what? That's the power from 15 people. The previous one at Bambercast was bigger, but you know what? They were both fantastic and both very special.
Yeah, absolutely. I will link in the show notes to that wedding feature that we featured on our blog, and Ray got a really nice mention from the couple at that wedding, so I'll make sure to link to that so you can go and check out the pilot at Blagdon and the alpacas.
Yeah, they stole the show. No secret, they stole the show. Can't compete with an alpaca.
Not sure I'm as much of an alpaca fan as most, but you know,
they were great. They were really good. They were good fun.
They're not top of my wedding list, but I mean, I know that they're very, very popular amongst wedding couples at the moment. Yeah. Ray, so how can couples get in touch with you?
Obviously through certainly website or Brides Up North, Unveiled Network. I'm on the supply listings or whitelist, whichever. Yeah, with yourself.
So what's your own website, and we'll drop it in.
My website is www.raisepiano.co.uk and on Instagram at Raise Piano.
Easy to find you.
Say on the tin, Raise Piano. Exactly.
Great, it's been incredible having you as a guest today. I can't wait to see you in person again soon and to annoy you with.
Hope so.
I'm going to think of some really hard ones in between now and then.
That's not fair. In fact,
no, I'm just going to request Bon Jovi. I'm going to specify.
I was going to say I'm now going to learn. I'll make sure next time do your Bon Jovi songbook. Yeah.
If you could learn Bad Medicine, that would be.
Okay. Right, there we go. I'll make a mental note of that one. There we go.
Well, anyway, thank you so much, Ray. You've been
pleasure.
Thank you.
Take care.